Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is Quotes 190. Today we have another one by Sun Tzu. Remember, the author of The Art of War. He was a military strategist, very famous for that. So a lot of militaries actually often look at a lot of his methods and tactics and take a lot of his advice, even though it comes from thousands of years ago. Okay, so let's take a look at the quote here. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. Okay, let's look at the note here. This quote does not necessarily mean that you become as evil as your enemy, but it does mean you must know his tactics, methods, and behavior. To become your enemy, you must know how to use the same tactics and methods, so your enemy loses his advantage. It also helps you to understand how he thinks and preempt his attacks, because if you know how he thinks, you know the methods he uses, you might be able to guess what he's going to do next, and you might be able to stop it, or like we say here, or at least be prepared for it. So it helps you to understand how he thinks and preempt his attacks, or be prepared for whatever steps he takes. Okay, let's continue. I have often heard this quote used in regard to Trump. Many say Trump's real enemies are not the Democrats per se. So not them by themselves, not them alone, but rather the globalists. The globalists have been infiltrated in both the Republican and Democratic parties, as well as the deep state. All right, so remember, I might have mentioned it in some videos before. Globalists are basically politicians or people in politics that really prefer to have kind of like a one world government. That's why it's a globalist, so, and that's why they tend to like a lot of trade deals, a lot of international trade deals, because through these international trade deals you can control a lot of countries all at the same time. So that's kind of what they mean by globalist. And you often hear Trump in his speeches and often talk about globalism and globalist, and obviously he is not a fan of it. He is counter to it. He is opposed to it. And many populist movements of other countries around the world, you see they have the same feeling. Okay, let's continue. Okay, good. The greatest weapon they have always had, meaning the globalists, is a controlled media to do its bidding. Now, remember, globalists, they're owned by a lot of the big banking families. The two main news sources in the world is, Associated Press and Reuters, and they are owned definitely by globalists. The Rothschilds, I think, have controlling interest of both of those companies. So they have a lot of say and a lot of influence over that, as well as we know that most of the news networks, or at least the American news networks, are mostly controlled by about, I think, 5 or 6 companies, in which they also have a lot of controlling interest of. So the greatest weapon they have always had is a controlled media to do its bidding, to have more of a global agenda rather than the agenda for each individual country, like you think that it should have. Okay, let's continue. Trump was chosen for his skills in handling the media. Yeah, his whole life has kind of been that way, or at least the last couple of decades, because he's always been a prominent figure in the media. Even before his TV show, he was still a pretty prominent figure in the media. Okay, by his declaration of fake news, he has defanged a lot of the media. So he's taken away, or defanged them, meaning taking away their ability to attack him more. A lot of people have caught on to this idea. If there's one thing he has done, he has brought more awareness about fake news. People pay more attention to it. And the mainstream media is getting caught in lie after lie after lie after lie. And they've really dropped a lot of what we used to think were, journalistic integrity. Actually, a lot of times now they name all kinds of anonymous sources. And anonymous sources really don't mean very much at all, because the journalist himself could be making it up. We don't know. There's nothing to really back it up. Before, at least, it seems like at one time they were a little better than what they've been recently. Okay. With his use of Twitter, he has become his own media in a way. That could respond and counterattack anything from the mainstream media. So if they say something and he don't agree with it, he don't like it, he can counterattack right away. So whatever they say, he can come back with something else. Okay. He doesn't have to wait and depend upon what they say that he means. And of course, Trump does have many, many millions of his own followers. He's really communicating directly with them. They don't even have to listen to the mainstream media. So to an extent, he's defanged a lot of them. He's taken away a lot of their power by doing this. Okay, thus basically he uses many of the same tactics that they have always used in the past. Globalists have used in the past to keep presidents in line, because it's hard to stand up to this power of the media too. So he's learned some of the same methods, some of the same tactics. And of course, he's not doing this by himself. He does have a lot of probably other military people behind him that are, good advisors as well. Okay, and just to end it off here, we actually have a second quote by Sun Tzu at the same time. If you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. Well, at least you have many, many advantages that you didn't have before. You have an idea how they will attack you. You understand their methods because you use part of their methods too. Okay, anyway, I hope you got it. I hope it's clear. I hope it's informative. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.